Good morning, fellow viewers. My name is Capo Daniel. Welcome to this presentation that is focused on the elections that have taken place in the great state of Nigeria. Nigeria is the most populous African state and it is very consequential. It supplies huge quantity of oil to the international market, and as a leading African economy, it is very crucial in Africa. So no doubt today I am going to do a presentation on the fraud that have taken place in Nigeria, showing you the content of the fraud, what went on in Nigeria, and also to put it in a global perspective in the light of Pan-Africanism, to put Nigeria on the spot and show you the fraud of the fraudulent system we have in Africa, and in this case in Nigeria. The biggest problem we have in Africa is that most African states, after independence, did not sit together as a people belonging to the various tribes, because we African people are tribal people. We have our tribes that are very important to our identity. We have our languages. They did not sit down together and say, come on, let every tribes and languages in our country, because we now have independence, let's sit together and work out a political structure that our people can benefit from the natural resources and the governance and take advantage of the international market. This never happened across Africa, because despite the fact that the Europeans granted many African states independence, they still work behind the scene to hold many African states in what we call new colonialism. So, fellow viewers, if you are watching me for the first time, my name is Capo Daniel. If you are watching me on the Amazonian Communication Network across Africa, please, you are highly welcome to this show. We speak the truth, we bring you honesty, and we bring you things that you will never ever see them on mainstream media. As we always say, the revolution shall not be televised, but true revolutionaries must deliver to the people the revolution. So I'm here to deliver to you a revolutionary message to the Nigerian people, the Odua people, the Biafran people, the Hausa people, so that you shall know the truth, and that truth shall set you free. So I am a Pan-African activist. I believe in African people's right, and the union and alliance that have been created between the Ambazonian people, which I am, and the Biafra people, that was established by an alliance memorandum of understanding between Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, the leader of Ambazonian Liberation War, and Mazi Namdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. This alliance have brought us, the Biafran people and the Ambazonian people, together. All the activists and our people have now in developed interest in each other. We have now built capacity. We are now collaborating both on the military front, social media front, and on every sphere, thanks to these two visionary leaders. So today I'm going to take you deep into the Nigerian fraud called an election, which is more of a selection, and give you proof of what happened, and also to let our people in the Biafra and all African people in Nigeria to know the truth about what is happening in their country and why they are the way they are, why they feel helpless, and why there is no way for them to move. So I'm going to get you footages that we obtained from social media. These are video footages that shows the real rigging of Nigerian election in real time, and it will give you a deep understanding of what is going on. From there, afterward, I'm going to take you into the political design, what Nigeria is made up, so that you can know exactly what we are talking about, and I will give you the deep presentation that have been well researched by our colleagues and by my collaborators as well. And I am the spokesperson of the Ambazonian Governing Council, but I'm also a Pan-African activist. So I do this in that capacity. So I'll take you deep into the Nigerian election through this video. And these are videos that have come from social media of Nigerians, how they conducted their elections. One of the things you will notice is that most of the videos of the complaints, 99% of those complaints are coming from the southern part of Nigeria, not the Hausa-controlled part of Nigeria, because the Nigerian political system was designed to benefit
The INEC officials that came to Trademore Estate.
the Nigerian political system was designed to empower the Hausa people to rule over that country to the beneficiaries of the new colonialist system that was set in place by the British, with the Americans to some extent benefiting from this coalition. The international community know what is happening. They know the fraud. But if the Nigerian people themselves are not wise enough, nobody is going to fight for you. I'm sorry, look like my date. One of those who are watching online have indicated that the date is wrong. Let me just take a moment and I correct the date, please. Today is a feed. So, fellow televiewers, what you need to know about the fraud that took place in Nigeria, which I'm going to show you, take you into Nigeria to show you vivid images that come from social media on what is really happening. Some of the videos also come from CNN, Al Jazeera, and some mainstream media, which have been reporting on Nigeria issue. What you have to know is that the elections in Nigeria are run by a commission called the INEC. You hear people talk about INEC. INEC is the Independent National Election Commission that organizes elections in Nigeria. It's a very big body. And for this election alone, their budget was more than the budget of some countries, you know. The budget of let me get my notes right. Their budget is about 355 billion naira. That is close to 800 million US dollars just to organize elections in Nigeria. And you know, with the African economy, this could have been very effective elections. They had 4 years to organize these elections. And the political system, to give you a background about Nigeria, the Nigerian government, the system, political structure in Nigeria is designed to reflect that of the United States of America. If you look at the constitution in Nigeria, section 4 of that constitution states it designed Nigeria as a bicameral legislature. That means you have a Senate and then you have a House of Representatives, so that you can have equal representative of the state. And each of the states of Nigeria have 3 senators from each state, plus 1, which is the seat of the federal government in Abuja. And this system, if it was truly to give the Nigerians the type of political freedom and the independence that the United States of America have, it would have reflected not just in the legislature, but in the election of their president. The president would have been elected based on the various constituencies that made up the bicameral legislature of Nigeria. In the United States of America, for example, the president is not elected by popular vote. They have designed the political system so that they have what they call electoral college that elects the president. The people participate in their various states, and those states have designated number of electoral college votes that then translates to elect the president. Because democracy is not just about election. Election is the most important ingredient, but the election itself must preserve the right of the minority and make sure that every sons and daughter of that country have a right to become a president, and make sure that every region there is a possibility that is guaranteed in a fair manner that every region that make that state should be able to have a president. There should be power sharing. So election in Africa without any political system that has been designed purposefully to make sure that every region have power is useless. So if you participate in elections, you legitimize the system. You give power to that system, because government needs to get that legitimacy before it can operate internationally. So each time you participate in these fraudulent elections, you legitimize the political system that prints the money you use, that takes away your opportunity and exploit your resources in the international market. So anybody who have participated in these elections, whether your candidate wins or loses, you have given a mandate for them to rule you for the next coming years. So that is exactly what has happened in Nigeria. With that background, I will go into you now the conduct of the election. What we know from what they have posted in their website, the INEC website, which is what they have announced by the government, is that the elections were supposed to be conducted in Nigeria from 8:30 a.m. and polls were supposed to be closed at 2:30 p.m. But what happened across Nigeria is that the polls were opened late because the officials who are supposed to conduct the elections did not show up on time. They are supposed to come up early. These are people who are paid huge sum of money to work just for that particular one day to conduct that election. So they are supposed to be on time. They did not come on time. There were no polling boxes in many of those polling units. The election officials did not only come on late, some of them claimed not to really understand what was really going on. So let's watch the videos from Nigeria and we see what happened before we get into politics. Follow with me.
Came to the wrong polling unit. So 11, we are still waiting for the right INEC officials, and we have over 1,500 people here.
So why are you not voting?
There is no INEC official. There are no polling units. So INEC officials finally arrived, and now there's chaos.
So what happened is that across Nigeria, especially in the Biafra region, in the Yoruba region, not in the Hausa region, there was chaos. Election officials came late. There were no ballot papers. In some places, the civilians themselves, they organized themselves to go and pick up election officials. So if those who are supposed to vote are the ones responsible to take the responsibility to go and bring those who are supposed to conduct the election, it shows you that that election is tainted with rigging. Not only did the people identify those who were supposed to conduct the election and go after them to bring them, the people even organized themselves. Since they came early, there was nobody. They shared numbers so that there will be proper queue and there will not be chaos to get into those election votes and cast their vote. They have an electronic system that they had developed, which you identify yourself either with your thumbprint or with your facial scan, which is a technology that is available in the world. But somehow we are going to show you the mafia that took place in Nigeria. Let's watch this.
Nigerian fashion. Before the INEC officials came, we all picked numbers. Now we are telling them, let us use the numbers that we picked so that it can be orderly. There are no griot. They said nobody can tell them what to do.
This good Samaritan had to go and carry them from where they were, and he brought them to us. See him going to park his car now. He brought them to us. See, so we are going to vote now. Let me start calling people to come out.
Been to 3-4 polling centers, and you know something? I can't even find my name.
I registered at Unit 13, NNPC gates, and I've been voting there. Since I came out by 8 o'clock, I've been looking for my name. It's not there.
So these are real-time report from citizens on the ground. Previously, we would have had no idea of what is happening there. Even Nigerians in different states, let alone those who are in the diaspora, they would have had no idea of the reality of the fraud that is happening. But real-time civilians were reporting what was going on. They took their time to go and bring people who were supposed to be there on time in the first place. They organized themselves. They went to the polling station and they could not find their name. Remind yourself that this is an electronic era where the Nigerian INEC, they had developed a technology. It is like an iPad. I'm going to show you the video in a short while, where each voter will come there with what looks like an ID card, which is a voter's card. You put it on that scan, it's just like a credit card. This technology are available internationally. The Nigerian passport is an electronic passport. So these are technology that we have seen used in Tanzania, in South Africa, even in Kenya. We monitored the elections in Kenya live. You could go on the internet in the Electoral Commission in Kenya and watch the result being uploaded live. So nobody needed to declare the election. Everybody could see how it was transparent. But in this case, with all the money that was poured into this election, over 355 billion nairas, this is what they had. And remind you, 99% of the complaints were seen in the Yoruba area, in the Biafra area, not in the Hausa area. Watch.
Like, hey, I registered, I transferred my card, I picked up my PVC. Now your Beavers is saying I'm not registered. What are you guys doing? It's like you people want problem with me.
GRA Ikulu Primary School. Nobody's voting. The Beavers doesn't tally with the PVCs. All the Beavers equipment are not functioning.
So the Beavers, this is what you see. It's an electronic device, which is electronic. It's very easy because it just takes the electronic people, the IT people, to type out code and form it to whatever they want it to do. It can function in anything they can do. So what this was supposed to do is that everybody who is supposed to be eligible to vote or who have registered to vote will be given what they call the PIV or whatever they call it. It's like an identity card, a voter's card, and you just place it on this thing, which is technology that is readily available in China. You can order it online right now. You just put the card on this thing. It will identify your identity. And to verify that you are the person who have this card, it will scan either your fingerprint or your face, because those information are stored in the data, and it will identify you. Then you go along to vote. But it would have been very easy for you just to vote electronically, so that it will be uploaded live, like in America. It just upload live in the state center. So they did not want the election to be fair. They did not want the election to be balanced. They wanted to rig the election. So they refused to put the same electronic that is supposed to use to identify voters. They refused to use that same electronic to vote. Why don't you use the same thing to vote? Okay, it's easy. You have a small iPad. You show people, you identify them that they are voters. In that same system, they can also just choose who they want to vote. And it will be automatic. Because it is controlled by your fingerprint and your facial recognition, it will be impossible to rig election, just like in the United States, because it will be password protected. But in Nigeria, because they want to rig this election, despite the fact that they have access to technology and those technology were available in their streets, they choose that election should be done on the piece of paper before they transfer the result into this electronic system. But even in that case, they still managed to rig the election. Let's watch it. So this is the electronic device, as you can see clearly. It's very, very cheap, very available. The software can be manipulated very easily to suit any design that they wanted. But the Nigerian federal government choose not to function in a fair and a balanced manner, because they intend to cheat. They intend to work in darkness, because that country is mad in darkness. And I'm going to show you how they have manipulated the political structure in Nigeria so that you are wise. These are not reports that you find anywhere, but I'm going to give you here. So in some of those elections, how they actually conducted the elections. These are the officials. I'm going to show you some video footages that shows you the conduct that is reflected. But in many of those places, they use the Turks that we have seen the federal government use in Nigeria to fight against the protesters during the NSAS movement. They had these Turks that they have them under their payroll. They used them to vandalize things, to spoil the evidence of the election so that it can never be verified. And this is predictable, because every elections in Nigeria, you have these Turks that comes in and destroy the evidence, the physical evidence. So after you vote, they will destroy those papers to make sure that there is no recount. And the areas where they have stock papers and manipulate them, it will be impossible for you to verify. So this is predictable. If the Nigerian government wanted to avoid this, they could have made the election purely electronic. After all, Nigeria have electronic money. Nobody can steal your money using the electronic system. It can be replicated during elections. Let's watch.
Can you see what is happening now? They want to make sure they suppress others from voting.
They are shooting gun, no. We came to vote, they are shooting gun everywhere. They are chasing people.
Early on in the morning, around 11:50.
So you can see voter intimidation actively going on. maximum chaos, calculated chaos to enable the election to be rigged without any significant opposition from the people. Because the election was designed so that each voting poll will count the vote in that spot. So to allow certain strategic polling stations to stock ballot, they have to bring in chaos. In some areas, they have to drive away people and allow the Nigerian security officers to block the door so that the ENEC officials inside will then stock those ballot boxes. In some areas, they actually use their fingerprint to thumbprint election voters' papers and stock them in ballots before they allow things to come to normal. So that when people are returning back, things have already been done. And that explains why they come late in certain areas, because they want to stock in election thumbprints on voters' cards so that people can see. Watch for yourself.
While I was on Instagram Live, a couple thugs came. They were snatching phones and beating people at my polling unit. They snatched my phone, but I was able to get it back. They destroyed a couple of ballot boxes before the military eventually arrived.
Guys, this election is absolute madness. We had a group of these area boys just come in after we organized, there's been a lot of organization to set up the polling station. They came and they scattered everything. They were beating up people.
The polling unit that I was inside Aja, they came with juju, started to scuttle the whole process. They scattered the whole place. We had to run for our dear lives.
So voters' intimidation was evident in most populated urban centers where they want to stock ballot, and that will be impossible for people in those neighborhoods because most of them have migrated from other areas. It was strategically done. The same Turks used by the Nigerian federal government during the NSAS were used, and these are all evidence that have emerged. Across Nigeria, the people witness for themselves the stocking of ballot papers in box by election officials of INEC. People who were supposed to guarantee that elections are fair were the ones stocking election papers, and the Nigerian military and police, who were in front, were there to protect them, to do that. And the population was fighting. What are these people doing? Why should they be stocking papers? And to give credit to the Nigerians, they were very, very civil, because I don't know what I would do if people have to steal my future like that. But they were very civil. They were not attacking anybody. They were simply trying to record the evidence to show to the world the injustice that they are suffering. Let's watch. So this is the counting system that I told you is perfect. It happens in many places in Africa, where after elections, they count it in front of those who participated in the election in that particular place after the elections. So this is fantastic. But the only problem is, after this counting, most of those ballot boxes were stocked up in the first place. Even after they counted the vote, to transmit that election result became an issue, because they had manipulation and rigging have to take place in many, many layers to ensure that the final elections result reflects what the political designs in Nigeria have already determined. In many of those places, Obi won. In many of those places, he won. And the people had the result because they were there, they did the counting. So they know for sure that Peter Obi won the elections. Everybody knows. But anyway, it was not possible for him to win because it was rigged. In transmitting those election results, they did their manipulation. In voting, they did their manipulation, and they ensured that the final result reflects what the stakeholders in Nigeria have determined. Labour
Not even the rain can stop us. People.
So let me start all over again. On the House of Reps, we have Labour Party 234, APC 38, PDP. This is our results here. This is our results here, up to the presidential results. But the man here has said the password that they would use to log into the server, the INEC server, to upload our results is lost. And he has.
So in areas where the security forces of Nigeria could not enable the INEC officials to transmit 40 results, after the counting, they counted and you guys are happy and going home. So what they did is, after the counting, they manipulated the result to transmit it to the electoral center. And in areas where they could not do so because people were watching, they refused to do it. And they said, I lost the password. I don't know the password. And they had all type of flimsy excuses. In some areas, they were saying that they were not lights. Their batteries have run out of power. People went and brought even their generators, power banks to help them. In some areas, they said there was no internet. But there was internet to verify voters' ID, but to transmit results, there was no internet. So people gave them their hotspot to transmit the result. But it was a rigged election, so they would not want to do that.
Refuse to give us the original to take picture.
Right now, there's a code they're supposed to use to send the results to the server. All of a sudden, they say they are looking for the code. And they are looking for it everywhere. Rain is falling, and I've been on that rain looking for this paper everywhere. They've not found this paper. And another colleague from the other polling unit, after our own, called again and said something is happening there.
That you made mistake, we should find TPEX. We find TPEX, upload. You say you want to go and do it in police station.
This poor one in this area where she could not easily transmit the 40 elections as she could have done. So the people have heard her, and she was expecting the police to be around to protect her to do that thing. But the police were not there. So she said, I need to go to police station before I upload it. Electronic do not need to work in a specific location. And the people say, we are civil, we are here. Just upload the right elections result. They refuse. In areas they wanted to take picture of the electronic transmission, they refused to give the people that chance so that they can preserve the real electoral result.
No violence here. Upload results.
You are not going anywhere. You must transmit this result from here. This
is coming from Alimosho. See.
So even when the elections were transmitted, they were all gathered in one center, one server, and the people working in those computers have to transmit them to their own state representative, who have to take them to the national, the federal level to report the election. But even in that center, those vanguards came in there and the police gave them chance to go in and vandalize everything, to cancel the evidence, to make sure that if the result that have been rigged is announced, it will be impossible for any opposition to prove in court that the elections were rigged.
It got local governments. And then these people have started beating us here. They're beating some of our people. They're beating most of our people there. They're beating some of our people there. They are started though. They are beating us. They are beating us here. They are beating us. They are injuring us here. Please, we need people to come to our rescue. Please come to our rescue.
Why are you talking like this now?
These ones are election rigging, where they are actually changing the result. In transmitting the final result from the poll, they have to go to their main office and recopy them on a more consolidated form that they may transmit to the federal level. Even in that stage, they were still doing the rigging. Let's watch.
Actually telling you facts.
We were searching for you. You went into hiding.
And then we want Tipex everywhere. Color. No, it's the truth, Color. Yes, the thing he's doing is wrong because we are seeing the results here and not the results we had at the polling units. And he needs to stop what he's doing because...
So, these are other officials who are not in the game. They are clearly saying that there are two different results. The election result that were people were jubilating, counting on the streets in Nigeria were not the same result that the election officials were now inputting that were supposed to matter, that were supposed to be carried to the Abuja. This thing could have been transmitted even through computer, but they want them specific designated people to transport those election results and report them in person in Abuja, two from each state. That is the mafia.
He's not entering everything into the master sheet for the beavers. Yes. Gbogbo nǹkan tẹ̀ ń ṣe yìí sí ó ti wà invalid already. Now lórí beavers and then gbogbo result tó enter sí. Láti ìgbà ká tó wá síbi àti ṣe now.
Just 2 units láti ṣe ń gbà yẹn.
Yes, then wọ́n wá bc gbogbo result tó enter bí is not what happened at the polling units.
So it is very clear for everybody in Nigeria, for everybody who participated in the election, that it was rigged. There is no doubt in the mind of people because they saw the votes they counted on the street did not reflect in the final result. But nevertheless, Pa, let me call it our grandpa, Tinubu, was declared the winner. And this is his election acceptance speech. Before we get to the politics of it, let's look at Tinubu's acceptance speech. And you look how old and free the man is. Let's watch.
We have made a promise to the country. We have rewritten the map.
Look at his eyes. Come on. Look at the grandpa. It has even made old demons like Pobia and dinosaurs like the Museveni and those sick people in Congo, the president of Congo who is sick, to look good. To have such an old person who is clearly disoriented and is not in control of his motor skill to be the president of the biggest economy in Africa is a shame. But let's just watch the video of his acceptance speech.
Nigeria. They've punched us in the scene.
Where Nigeria?
Tonight we were declared beaten in Lagos. I said that is no.
The wife will be telling him what.
That is a temporary setback that the politician was experiencing.
At one point, they brought in something for him.
Wife standing by me, tremendously.
The power have not had enough.
This is a very example of 3 people.
So that's the new pulpit.
Which who are here. The people are from Zamfara. They face a battle of competition, disagreement,
So it's not just boring. And to be fair with you people, I want to tell you, the problem is not that he's old. We have seen old presidents who are effective in the world. Joe Biden himself in America is not a very young man, but he's very effective in his country. The system, he's justly elected by the people. The problem is that this man was not elected by the Nigerian people. It was a fraud. It was not an election. It was a selection. And we all have seen it very clearly. And it annoys us because now you have millions and millions of Nigerians who are going to feel hopeless and helpless with the poverty level that is going to be there. They are going to be living as slaves. It's a very bad situation to live in. Trust me, I've been through that in Cameroon, where we saw a rigged elections with the officials who were from our side, the English-speaking side of Ambazonia. It is terrible. Nobody wants to be in a country like that. But let's watch Peter Obi, the person who actually won the election, and his behavior. As we detailed before, Peter Obi, he too don't collect. So, but anyway, This is his reaction with all the evidence.
So we have an increase of 11 million, and the voters dropped by sharply by over 20% instead of increasing. The reason it was due to manipulation and reduction and removal and inputs of votes here and there. Because otherwise the number is supposed to have increased. It didn't increase. Because people were busy doing what is wrong. And we have chosen, I will challenge this rascality for the future of the country.
So that is Peter Obi's response, that he has chosen to go to court to challenge the election in court. Bravo, bravo. I think even the Nigerian, even Tinubu will be saying bravo to him. We have had people, former presidents and people from the Biafra statement who have asked that the youth should go out there and protest. Because you protest and you challenge, you defend your vote. In Nigeria, the government is not functioning. The judicial system is there to protect the political system. That is what Africans have to know. And we have advised the Biafran people. Unfortunately, the Biafran movement, since the rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, have been in disarray. They are unable to even put out a single quotable reaction for the international community to look onto and say, this is what the Biafrans are saying, or speak directly to their people. The whole structure have become mess. Even when we engage with them, we are more comfortable with the security guys on the ground of the Eastern Security Network. But the new guys there, the political faction is everywhere. Everybody is everywhere. But they have to put the act together for the sake of the future of the Biafran people. The message for the Biafran people was independence. And also to our Oduduwa people. So we have to tell you people the truth. The Nigerian system will not hold. And they are now preparing to transition. That is why you have the president now, two of them, and the vice are all Hausa. They are now preparing to transition to a full-scale takeover. Remember, every country is run on two bases: power and money. The money that comes from Nigeria from the petroleum. I'll tell you how those things are going to be consolidated in their grand scheme of things, so that you are not blindfolded. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take you in the full-scale fraud that we have. We have told you that the Nigerian political system is based on the bicameral legislature that is in section 4 of the Nigerian constitution that designate a Senate and the House of Representatives to create a representative government that will be reflective of all the people there in a democratic manner. But that is not the case, because that is not fashioned in the political system. Election alone is not democracy. Democracy only works when there is a power sharing mechanism put in place in that structure that will guarantee a rotation of political power. In the United States of America, the United States do not elect their president based on popular vote, one man, one vote. No, they elect their president based on electoral college, and that should be reflective in all African states. You have people who identify themselves with tribes. Those tribes should be the basis for the designation and design of political system that everybody will be able to rule. But we know that there will never be a president in Nigeria that comes from the area that have the Biafra people. This area is called the southeast region of Nigeria, the southeast states. I'm going to show you the construct of the Nigerian political structure and give you revolutionary message, Pan-African message that you will find nowhere except here. That's why the Nigerian government is really, really worried about what we do. And the infiltrators in the Biafran movement are very worried about what I do. And they have tried to attack me, blackmail me, and try to give me pressure not to talk about the elections, which I stayed quiet, to just respect the hierarchy. But our people in Nigeria, I owe you this to tell you the truth, so that you will know what is going on. There are 3 basic tribes. Let me use the word tribes because we are Africans. But you want to call it people. In international law, they call it people. There are 3 people in Nigeria. You have the Oriwa, which are the real Nigerians, which are the northern part. These are the Hausa people. You have the Biafra people. And then you have the Oduduwa people. So these are the three people you have in Nigeria. And the power structure, if Nigeria have to work and have to be a fair country that will encourage development in political geopolitics, in socio-economical sphere, to develop in science and technology, to become a developed country, you have a system that this three group of people have a power sharing structure, that power will go around and everybody will feel belonging. But that is not the case, because Nigeria is a new colonial state that have been built to maintain the foreign investment and the foreign exploitation facilitated by the mainly Hausa or the Oriwa people who are there and have nothing. It's in Rwanda, it's the same thing. They look for people who have nothing and give them political power and military power so that they can control those with financial strength. And I'll give you all this presentation in one go and tell you where Aliko Dangote fits there. The Biafra people or the Igbo people are in the bottom of this food chain, and they are meant to bear the brunt. They are the slaves in this equation, and I'm going to show you how this thing is working about. Because the Biafra people, for all the tribes in Africa, which were a nation before the coming of colonialism, you have the Biafra, the Zulu, and many other African people. But the Biafra people, for particular, have been so unique that they have maintained their sense of nationalism even after the conquest of the European. Nevertheless, I'm going to show you the only way you can win and the only way you can preserve your country. The rest will remain for you. But I must tell you the truth, because only the truth can set you free. So you have never had a president that come from Igbo, an Igbo president in Nigeria, and you will never have it, because they need that slavery system, that divide and rule system, conquer and rule, to give the Hausa people an ego, a pride that they will feel that they are all over the world, and they will maintain that system to exploit Nigeria. And it's working so well for them. Very, very fine. The whole world will recognize this election, because that is how it is. Once you participate in it, you legitimize it, and that is how you have to live with it. The powerful will take whatever they have to take, and the poor will suffer what they have to suffer. And now you, the Igbo people, you are the bottom of that pit, and you have the Odua people, the Yoruba people. They are elevated slaves. To maintain that balance, you must always have slaves, elevated slaves, just like niggers and house niggers and stuff like that. So I'm going to explain it to you. The basis for Nigerian, for every people, because I focus my studies on people's right, and I am an advocate for people's right in Africa, because before we live together, we must live together as a people, and before we are divided, we will be divided as a people. So people's right is very important. According to international law, the international law and the international war order where we live in do not recognize the African states that used to exist before colonialism. The basis for international law starts from the Berlin Conference that basically draw the world into a map. That is the basis of international law and the basis for international order. Anything out of that order will never work. So the African states can no longer fight on the basis on our tribal identity that used to exist before this war order. You cannot fight the war order. It's not possible. They are too strong. So the Igbo nation cannot exist as an Igbo nation. The Zulu cannot exist as a Zulu nation. Any other nation that existed before the Berlin Conference cannot exist as that nation. But the real map of Nigeria that has basis in this war order, which has been manipulated, I'm going to put it up here for you people to see. That's the current map. This is a real map of Nigeria that is based on the League of Nations and the international reference to that state. The Nigeria during the colonial times, which was legalized during the League of Nations, had three people. You have the Northern Nigerian Protectorate under the British, you have the Lagos Protectorate under the British, and then you have the Southern Nigeria Protectorate. These are internationally recognized personality in Nigeria. Whatever you can do in Nigeria will come from this map. Whatever fight you can succeed in Nigeria can only come from this map. Whatever was supposed to give Nigeria a future was supposed to come from this map. So a Nigeria that was supposed to exist within the international law order right now was supposed to function like this. It would give the Nigerian the best possibility to go ahead and to build a country that everybody will be happy with. But that is not the case. Because the northern Nigerian were empty land, and they had to rely on the people, the resources from the southern part. The British people decided to do what they call the amalgamation, to destroy this perfectly functionable system of three personalities in Nigeria and create. So this is what they had created. And this map a people's identity evolved based on their administrative evolution. So Nigeria evolved as these four personalities. You had the Nigeria side, you have the Odua, you have the Biafra, and then you have the Erewa. So the Erewa and the Nigeria are the basis for the manipulation that goes on in Nigeria. In the Biafra side and the Odua side, you can see the various states. They have the constituency. So the Biafra includes the Delta region, you have the Imo region, and then you have the Cross River. Those are the three personalities that are supposed to be the Biafra. Those are the basis for the real Biafra that have international reference, that has a possibility to become independent. That is the Biafra state that was independent. Now you have the Odua region that is also fighting for independence, and we, the Biafra Ambazonian people, recognizes the people of Odua as a people that also have the right of self-determination to determine the political outlook of their territory. The Biafran people also have. So Nigeria have four personalities that has evolved in terms of administration under the British government. These four personalities can become four states, or they can exist as four federal states, equal in status, where they will evolve, manage their affairs, and rule themselves in a way that will develop the country. But even this itself was seen as a problem, and for the Nigerians to come together, the northern Nigerians who were poor, they saw that they have nothing, and they were afraid that the Biafra region and the Odua regions, which have petroleum and resources and were far more advanced in education, could separate. So they came to maintain Nigeria. They tried to dilute their nationalism for the purpose to maintain Nigeria, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It was to maintain Nigeria. But what you have now, the political map of Nigeria, which I'm going to show you, is completely that of slavery. That is the problem that the Nigerian people are suffering. And that really happened after the Biafra War. So to maintain Nigeria after independence, a new map of political structure was set up for Nigeria that could maintain the identity of Nigeria and build that international personality and local personality of the Nigerian flag that we have come to know. And that Nigerian political map, this is the current political map, but the one from independence, it looks like this. So it was divided into four personality for administrative purpose. You had the East region, you have the West region, the Northern region, and the Mid-West region. So this was for the purpose to maintain the Nigerian identity and to make sure that no other identity, national identity, evolve within that international space called Nigeria, which is understandable. You could say this is for Nigeria, that the Nigerian government or the Nigerian state, those who were designing Nigeria, wanted that Nigeria personality to not be challenged in any way that could collapse. So where they saw a strong nationalism spirit in the Odua region, which capital was Lagos, and in the Eastern region, which capital was Enugu, to dilute it by having this buffer zone that separates the two regions, which is the Delta zone, the Niger Delta zone, the Benin zone. So they separated it that way. But after the Biafra War, they decided to just turn the whole thing upside down and create a system where you have a slavery system that is going on. That is the system that is in place right now. And I'm going to show you that system, how it has been diluted. So this is you see the Eastern region. It has been cut now with the Cross River region to destroy the constituents of the Biafra region and isolate the Igbo people. The whole point to maintain Nigeria is to isolate the Igbo people, because the Igbo people are the most powerful people that have a historic identity of Biafra. that is so strong, that have survived colonialism, that can easily crumble or challenge the idea of Nigeria. And that is why you had the new map, which is like this. You can see that they have divided Nigeria now into 6 different regions. You have the northwest, northeast, north central. That means the northern Hausa part have become 3 constituency, or 3 people, 3 personality. And then the southern part have become 3. So they have balanced it. They have basically said that in Nigeria is Hausa side and the south side. So you have the northern side, which is 3 regions, the northwest, northeast, and north central. And then you have the south side, which you have the southwest, south, and southeast. Southeast is the Biafra region, the Igbo land, which they want to isolate. They want to dilute, the whole point is to dilute the eastern region, which forms the base of international personality for independence for Biafra. To dilute that, they have to divide them into 2 and create the south-south. So you now have the south-south and the southeast to divide both of them. Because the south-south have the delta region with the petroleum, they need them, and they have to elevate them. That is why you have had presidents that have 2 presidents which come from the eastern region, come not from the southeast, but from the south-south. So you have had Olusegun Obasanjo, which was from the southwest, and then you have Goodluck Jonathan, who came from the south-south. That is just to give them some test and give them that feeling of pride over the Igbo people. It's not that they really love them or they can give them democratic election victory. The eastern region will never win election in Nigeria because they will never empower them with that power to be able to balance that equation. So the whole system is to keep the Igbo people in slavery. That is how it has been divided. So my advice to the Igbo people is that if you maintain your Igbo identity and use it as a basis because you are subjugated as Igbo people, you will fall into the trap. You cannot fight based on an ideology that is out of the international reference or from the international war order starting from the League of Nations. The only hope is to fight for nationalism, not tribalism. Focus on the eastern region's identity, the Biafran identity, not the Igbo identity. These are 2 different things. Of course, you need that core, hardcore Igbo in the movement, which Nnamdi Kanu navigated so well to raise awareness. And if you look at the last election when Nnamdi Kanu was out, which he banned election in the Biafra land, and I think 3 days before the election, he changed, overturned that elections. The rationale was that the people were not ready yet. But with the killing of the young guy who was leading the Eastern Security Network, that was already the declaration of war. The rendition of Nnamdi Kanu is already the declaration of war. The Biafra people are ready for their independence. The Oduduwa people are ready for their independence because the Nigerian system will never work because the Hausa people have tested power. Just like the Hutus in Rwanda, their nose have become long and they think that they are God. That feeling you can never take away from them and they will never give it up. They will never give the power. They will never give the money. So the deal that they have struck, like all new colonialist states, is to look for a businessman that is going to become like a CEO, a neutral person that can never have political power, which was chosen in the person of Ali Dangote. Aliko Dangote, sorry, this picture, I put the wrong picture. So Aliko Dangote, which come from the south-south region, he passed that test when he accepted to open the automobile assembly plant not in his own region of origin, but in Kaduna, which is part of Nigeria itself. They want to industrialize the northern part, the Hausa part, at the expense of the southern part of Nigeria. So he has passed that test. Now, he's not the most intelligent black man, definitely not the most smartest businessman in Africa or the black man, which is currently the richest, because he has become the channel to funnel the riches of Nigeria to the benefit of the real power that are behind the power in Nigeria. So what they are doing in this consolidation period is very important that you people get this intelligence very clearly. Is that over the years, because of enlightenment, they know that people will demand for more political power. The whole system is built on 2 things, power and money. To secure the money so that they will be able to control the power, they have decided to destroy the Nigerian refinery, the state refinery, by sabotaging all attempts to renovate, to repair it, and it has become useless, worthless. And in the person of Aliko Dangote, they have built a new refinery system for petroleum in Nigeria that will be operational probably within the next 2 years. That is why you now have two Hausa people there to make sure that this transition and consolidation period goes smoothly. And Peter Obi are all the people who are just playing their role. They are all people who have already collected their own. So they are there just to play the game. That's why he will tell you, don't use violence. There is no political change without violence. There is none. So going to court is just like a tombola game where you go to buy beer and you hope that you are going to win an extra beer. But you know that it is promotion. Promotion means is to promote the beer. So the election in Nigeria is just to promote the idea of Nigeria. Because once people have elections, those who will be recruited to do the campaign will now be able to give people the courage to come out. People who were ashamed to talk about ashamed because of Biafra, because of Obi, they are now able to face the people and fool them and bribe them in the name of Nigeria. And then you lose, they tell you, oh, you try again. Like Tombola, you open the beer, the cover is lost. They say, try again, buy another one. Wait for the next election. Don't worry, calm down. The whole world will tell you, calm down, calm down. But we know that is how the rigging has been going on. The only hope for the people of Nigeria is to destroy this political system, and the Hausa will never allow you to do that. So the only solution is Biafra. That's why Nnamdi Kanu said, Biafra or nothing. Oduduwa people look for your independence. Biafra people look for your independence. Obi will never save you. So the whole consolidation issue is now to transit from state provision of petroleum to the private sector provision of petroleum to be able to hold Nigeria hostage. Aliko Dangote's company, he made his money not by his smartness, by government licensing. You know very well that licensing is the way government choose who is rich and who is poor. So he is there because of the people of the North. He's like the middleman because the British multinationals and the American multinationals that really control that country do not want the Muslim people to really have that power of the purse. So they choose a middle belt person, somebody from the South, Aliko Dangote, who have proven to be an ashawo to his own people. Through the various deals they have given him, he have chosen to be very loyal to their Hausa people. They have made him the CEO to manage these riches. So now they are going to give him control of the oil refinery in Nigeria. Finally, they are going to secure the money. And they will be refining oil from Nigeria, adding value to it to sell it to everybody. So they will have that flexibility. Probably in the next 3-4 years, they will be able to have some cosmetic changes in politics in Nigeria so that the people can have a little bit of freedom to meet up with the time. But that will be it, cosmetic. So for the Nigerian people to be able to have their freedom, they need to go back and fight for their right. And that right is embedded in the three personality in Nigeria. This is the real map of Nigeria. Take away all the manipulation, and this is the only thing that have international reference that can work. So ladies and gentlemen, you have I've done my own part as an African and as a Pan-Africanist. New millennium, the never again generation. We are the generation that our people were waiting for. We are the generation of hope. We are the generation of enlightenment that God has sent us abroad to study the international system. Many of us black people have worked in corporate war. We know how the system works. We can easily decipher how the system was designed. For those who have been deceived to count on the release of Nnamdi Kanu, I told you he has been captured already. It is really impossible to get him released. And those who rely on his lawyers, you should know that lawyers are just like pastors or traditional doctors. When you go to pastor, there is no problem he will tell you he cannot solve. He will tell you he will pray for you. You go to a native doctor, he must say he will have a solution so long as you drop. So the lawyer is playing his own role. We have told you people that Nnamdi Kanu was not arrested using the law and he cannot be released using the law. The freedom of Nnamdi Kanu is the freedom of Biafra, and Nigeria know that. There is no way Nigeria is going to give you people that freedom without a fight. If you want freedom, you must know that freedom is not free. The people of Biafra are ready for freedom. The people of Odua are ready for freedom. The thing is their leaders ready? Are their leaders ready? Are they competent enough to build system that will be difficult for infiltration from the Nigerian government? Do they have patriots like Nnamdi Kanu, who is incorruptible? Somebody who is not looking out for himself and his stomach, but somebody who is focused and looking out for the Biafran people and the people of Odua. These are the only people that can free you. People who are selfless. Like me, I'm doing this thing for free. Nobody's paying me. I'm not taking support from anybody. I pay my own bills, I do everything. But it is my own duty back to our own people in Africa to make sure we stand up for the truth and we stand up for justice. And thanks to the relationship and alliance built between the Amazonian people and the Biafran people by our two visionary and selfless revolutionary leaders, Dr. Cho Lucas and Ayaba and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I'm here as a servant to serve the people of Biafra and to give you the roadmap to your freedom. There are a lot of Biafran leaders who are in contact with me. There are a lot of Biafran groups that are in contact with me, and I appreciate that. The problem is I'm interested not just in talking and friendship. I'm interested in people who have vision, who are ready to do what needs to be done for Biafra to attain its freedom. The rising star must rise. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And you can subscribe to my channel. You can click the notification to get more revolutionary information that you can only get from us. Ciao. God bless you.